Testing for Zoom.
I'll let you know once you're.
Commissioner Olivas, City of Albuquerque Sangle, or CAO Sangle, City Councilor Champagne, City Councilor Feeblecorn, and City Councilor Rogers are all joining remotely. Okay, please join me in a silent invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Vice Chair Jackson. Thank you, Chair Jackson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Member Jackson. Yay. So we will start with public comment. Do we have any public comment signed up this afternoon, Javier?
We have no public speakers signed up.
Okay, great. So we will move on to item number 4, new business. We do have to approve the minutes, but do we have quorum to be able to vote on the minutes? We have everybody on?
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. Well, then let's move, actually, thank you, to approval of the minutes. Yes, Councilor Grapp.
Chair, I move approval of the October 16, 2025 LGCC meeting minutes.
I'll second. This is Vice Chair Jackson.
Thanks. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Javier, please call the roll.
Chair Barboa,
Yes.
Vice Chair Jackson,
Yes.
Member Benavides.
I will abstain because I did not attend that meeting.
Thank you. Member Olivas,
Yes.
Member Rogers,
Yes.
Member Feeblecorn,
Yes.
and CAO Single,
Yes.
and Member Grau.
Yes.
Thank you. That passes. Approval of the minutes from that's A and B. Okay. Approval, I think we need an agenda approval maybe. Okay, sorry, my things are not.
I move approval.
Yes.
Chair, I move approval of the agenda for today.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
I'll second with the amendment of removing 3B as it's a duplication of 3A.
And replace with, okay, do we need a, okay. Javier, please take the roll.
Member Champagne just joined. So.
Javier, I think we just have a motion, a second to approve the agenda for today.
Chair Barboa,
Yes.
Vice Chair Jackson,
Yes.
Member Benavides,
Yes.
Member Rogers,
Yes.
Member Olivas,
Yes.
Member Feeblecorn,
Yes.
CAO Single,
Yes.
Member Grau.
Yes.
Thank you. That passes. And now we would have went on to public comment, but we don't have any public comments, so we're going to move on to new business. And I will ask for us to get opioid settlement updates, starting with Dr. Wayne Lindstrom and John Lanka.
Madam Chair, members of the Commission, good to be with you this evening. We presented to you at the last meeting with regards to the Opioid Settlement Fund publicly facing dashboard. And I have our performance and data manager, John Longto, who will update you on that. But I think more importantly for all of you, you also requested that there be presentations from the city with regards to their funding and allocations and performance reporting, as well as from APS. And so those presentations are also planned. And with that, I'll turn it over to John.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. My name is John Longto. I'm the Performance and Data Manager. I apologize for my voice. I've been fighting a cold for the past week, but knew this presentation was really important to you. So wanted to give a little bit of review and an update on our opioid settlement public accountability dashboard. We plan on delivering the dashboard in 2 different phases. So phase 1 is more focused on financial measures and looking at that financial accountability, the money going out and the projects and areas that are awarded. Phase 2 of the dashboard is going to take a little bit more time as we roll out those contracts and start gathering data. So we'll need to design that dashboard and roll that out later in June of 2026. So it's, the financial measures are kind of front-loaded, as well as the accountability measures later next year. But the goal is to present one shared public dashboard across all 3 entities, the City of Albuquerque, the County of Bernalillo, and APS. And I'm pleased to present, to share that our financial accountability dashboard is live for Bernalillo County. It only includes financial information for Bernalillo County. We are still working to incorporate the city's financial information. We have those figures, but we need to make sure that they're aligned across the city and county so that the display makes sense. Right now, the way that the accounting works in the city side and the county side are different, so we need to design a way to make sure that those financial measures all line up. So we're actively in the process of doing that. We're working diligently with Ellen and her team in order to get those updates validated and approved by the city before we publish them on the city's website. So that's going to be the next big milestone here, is getting the city numbers on there. And we've already reached out to APS in order to start working with them to find a spot on their website to include this dashboard as well. So the publication process for the city and APS are pending once we have those financial numbers for the city. But we're working across all of those areas in coordination across all those entities. And we're still on track to deliver the rest of the dashboard in 2026. So I stand for questions on the dashboard.
Wonderful, thank you. Are there any questions in person or online?
Yes, I have a question, Chair. This is Councilor Rogers.
Yes, go ahead, thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Can you just tell me where to find it on the county website? I'm looking and just wonder what's the path to get there?
Yes, thank you. So, Madam Chair and members of the Commission, so the dashboard's located on the Behavioral Health Authority page on the Bernalillo County website. So you go to bernco.gov. Under, I believe it's Your Community is the Behavioral Health Authority. One of the buttons under Behavioral Health Authority is the Data Accountability Dashboard, and it's right there.
Okay. I will look. Thank you so much.
Slide had I think it had the email address on it.
Yeah,
The
there's,
public could see it too. So there it says it just says
Yep.
bernco.gov, okay.
yes, so if you go to bernco.gov, navigate to the Behavioral Health Authority, there's a button there.
And then it's just data and accountability dashboard.
Correct.
So is there more data than just the opioid settlement housed here, or is it just opioid settlement?
Yes, so Madam Chair, members of the Commission. So we have several dashboards in development, as our commissioners know. So we under the Behavioral Health Ordinance for Bernalillo County, we have a public accountability dashboard that's also in development. So we plan on housing all of our public accountability dashboards in one place.
Got it. Okay. And so just thank you for directing me, because I can see exactly where it is. So it shows the Bernalillo County actual revenue, City of Albuquerque reimbursed, like everything that you've gotten out budgeted for versus actual is anticipated payment. So that's disbursements to the county or the city by year?
Correct.
Okay. And then, okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Under services, Behavioral Health Authority. Services. Sorry, we're all looking
That's,
now.
I appreciate that.
But this is good. We'll get clicks.
Exactly.
Well, thank you, Chair. I think it's just also if folks are looking for it by name of opioid settlement dashboard or accountability, it's hard to find, like it's not easily accessible. So I think maybe if we could just put a link on the main page that at least calls people to it, because inherently I wouldn't know to look there. And so maybe if there's a way to say opioid settlement or some kind of link that takes folks there from the homepage, might be easier to find.
Yeah. Madam Chair, members of the commission. So yeah, I'd be happy to work with our web development team to make that more prominent.
Councilor Rogers, consider it done.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And then the same feedback when the city, when we get you the information, we should be able, let us know if you're having barriers, because we need to be in line with what how quickly you've been able to do this. I am just a little wondering why you don't have what you need from the city to put this up. We've all known it's.
So yeah, Councilor Rogers, that's something I can talk through. Ellen and her team has been very diligent in giving me that information. It's a matter of reconciling and updating the dashboard. So that's in my court to do.
Okay, thank you. Then maybe I would say we don't go live until we have all the information.
It is live right now.
No, I know that, but I get that, Chair. Thank you. I'm just saying, before we go live on any more data, then
Yes.
Let's make sure we have it from all three institutions. Because if I was looking at this not knowing that, I would think the city's not meeting this obligation. So I don't want the public to think that, and I have faith in our teams. But maybe so we don't give that impression, we just launch any other data when we have everything we need for all entities.
Yes, well, that's the plan. Thank you.
Any other comments, online questions? You know, I always have questions. I'm glad we sort of got in here. I agree with definitely something that says it's because data account, it needs to say opioid settlement so people can even just search for it. And hopefully, I don't know if that happened, like how that happens, but how you set search to take you directly to that page. I know there's some way to do it, not I. But, thank you. This is, I'm really glad. I'm excited it's open. When you click on One Albuquerque, it takes to their opioid settlement page. And when you click right now to APS, it takes to sort of their home page. So hopefully we could get it to going, or yeah, whatever the goal is there.
Yep.
Looks great, and I like the different tabs. I think maybe just like, I know I feel like hopefully it's okay and accepted feedback.
Yeah,
but the tabs seem sort of small. So just thinking about like maybe what would your 8th grader or your grandma understand, your grandma, like my age lady, understand to be able to find these things. And thank you. Looks great.
I appreciate the feedback, Chair. Bravo.
Thank you. Right, if there's any, thank you for the presentation. Thank you, Dr. Lindstrom.
Let's bring up Ellen's.
Thank you for all this work.
Madam Chair, I see Ellen is remote. So I assume, Ellen, that you would like us to bring up your presentation and move it for you, or?
Dr. Lindstrom, that would be fantastic, or I can share my screen, whatever works best for the commission.
We have it right here, so, and we
Perfect.
have it up now, so.
Great. Thank you so much.
So just tell me when you want to flip.
Welcome, Ellen.
Thank you. Thank you all for having me here tonight. So this is just kind of an update on where the city of Albuquerque has utilized the opioid dollars as requested at the last LGCC, as well as where we're housing data. So this is the current status of the city of Albuquerque funds. We just received an additional amount. So as of 12/4, we have received just over $40 million. And then what we have how I've been tracking it, how we've been tracking it, is how that money has been allocated by city council legislation. So on the left-hand column there, you see the legislation that, and where the description as well as the appropriation. So after the last appropriation, which was R25-180, we have about $8 million, just over $8.8 million remaining, which you can see at the bottom of that slide. Then if you go to the next slide, this shows the current expenditures and as well as the service and the contractor. And so this was reconciled about December 4th as well. And so far we have appropriated $31 million, just over 31 million. And we have spent about 10 million. That same slide shows those that are pending contractors and who the contractors are for those contractors that we do know. If you'll go to the next slide. So this is just, this is information that the county had reported on in the past, but this is specific to the city opioid settlement. The small and medium provider capacity and sustainability, those proposals are still under review. That's being managed by Bernco, as they had indicated previously. APS, we're having ongoing monthly coordination meetings, and I know that APS is presenting tonight, but just by way of example of what we discussed during those monthly meetings, we talk about how APS is performing with their Crossroads expansion. And so to the right on this slide, you can see some performance highlights. And I know that they'll be also discussing some of the implementation that they have been utilizing and are going with these funds. And then finally, our 10 million provider infrastructure grant that closed October 20th. We have made selections, and then we are starting to initiate the notification process. So agencies have not yet been notified, but that grant process has been concluded. And on the next slide. So where we're housing information while John is working to get our information integrated, we did want to make sure that the public is aware that the city has utilized the opioid funds. And so that is found at cbq.gov opioid settlement funds dashboard. It's actually housed on currently, I think, on the health, housing, and homelessness. And I can put that link in the chat. But this is where we will link to the city county APS dashboard. But in the meanwhile, we did want to make sure that there's information available to the public about city opioid allocation funds, allocations and expenditures. And I stand for questions. Thank you so much, Dr. Lindstrom.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you, Ellen Braden. And I think we have some questions. Yes, Councilor Grout.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Ms. Braden. I appreciate the presentation. On the second slide, can we bring that back up? One before that. Okay. So I think it said that there is $8 million not appropriated.
That's correct.
Okay, 8.8. That's cool. So that has not been allocated anywhere. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Have we gotten the money, our appropriation for this year for 2025?
Madam Chair, Councilor Grout, yes, this includes the most recent allocation and any interest.
Okay. Okay, very good. And then when will we expect to get the allocation in 2026? What is the ETA for that?
Madam Chair, Councilor Grout, my understanding is that those come in intermittently, and so they come in at various times throughout the year. And it's not like one lump sum for each year. It's from different settlements from different pharmacies. So I'm sorry, I can't.
I do understand that. I'm just wondering, so that's okay. All good.
Haven't just point to on our dashboard, there is an anticipated revenues. It doesn't say a month, but it does say 2026 anticipated. Okay.
Correct, yes, I know the amounts, I just
Okay.
wondered when they were expected, but that's all good. Thank you, do we have this presentation in our inbox? If not, can we get it, please? And-
Madam Chair, Counselor Grout, it's in the packet as
Okay.
well, but I can send it as
Okay.
well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Grau. Any other questions for for City of Albuquerque?
Yes, Madam Chair, Counselor Rogers on Zoom. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you for showing us the other dashboard and where people can find it for the City of Albuquerque. I was able to find it, and I just had a question on the funds appropriated for, I know it's the same resolution, R22-91, but it didn't break down. It had some blank spots for like specifically those contracts, how much we appropriated for each of those, and then the amount unspent but allocated. Is there a reason those 3 boxes are blank for youth detox, burn co-medication, assisted treatment, and gateway sobering center?
Yes, Chair Barboa, Counselor Rogers. So those dollars they were allocated as kind of a lump sum to make sure that it supported treatment and treatment
The youth detox
services, yes. And so if you look at the information, $300,000, the expenditure, so what remains out of the 4.815 from R2291 is $65,000. And so what's been spent is $300,000 for Keep New Mexico Alive, $920,000 for Serenity Mesa, 1.5 for Bernalillo County Medication Assisted Treatment, and just over $2 million for Gateway Sobering Center. The remainder of that $65,000 will be spent on utilities and the like to support Gateway Sobering.
Got it. It's just hard to extrapolate that. So if there's a way to put the appropriated amount for the youth detox, because I think it broke it down. So
Okay.
that way I can say, okay, Serenity Mesa, we appropriated this much. This is how much they were as unspent and allocated, 0, and this is how much they've already spent. And I think the same for MDC. I think there were specific amounts for each of those contracts.
Chair Barboa, Counselor Rogers, I can make that correction. Because
Awesome.
all of them except for Gateway Sobering have been fully expended.
Perfect. Thank you. I'm going to mute my dog.
Thank you. Thanks for that clarity. Any other comments, questions I guess I didn't open it for Bernalillo County or City of Albuquerque. Okay, then we'll move on to the presentation by APS. I believe we have Vicki Price and Kylie Scherter. If I said your name wrong, sorry, Kylie.
Do you want to stay up here and click for me?
Come on.
Dr. Lindstrom, Vanna White.
Now it's coming out.
All right, so what do I push?
Just the down arrow right there.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. It's good to see you again. I've got allergy stuff, so I apologize. I'll have to keep clearing my throat, but it's good to see all of you and all of you online. I'm here tonight to give an update on what we've been doing with the funds that have been allocated to us. So we're going to jump in. Wait. Okay, theoretically. Which one? Down. Okay. So again, I'm Kylie, and I think that I've met everybody. Vicky is also here tonight, and Lisa Cyril is actually my new hire out of the funds that were given to us, but she's unable to be with us tonight. And she is our district crossroads counselor, and she also helps me manage all of the data that we have with the programs that we are running. Alrighty, there's a lot of information on here, and I'm not going to read to you because I know you guys are all very capable of reading, but I'll go down through and kind of generalize and kind of explain some of the things that are on here. So as I mentioned, part of our expansion was in hiring the district position to assist me with the management of the data, and also to help me with the Crossroads program in particular. And Lisa is a former Crossroads counselor who has 13 years of experience, so she brings a lot, and she has helped me immensely. So all of the data that you see here that we are presenting, I need to give her credit for, because she really pulls everything together for me. So as of last week, we have 2 new middle school Crossroads counselors that are in place, 2.5 that are to start in the next 30 days. So if that's would be 2 full-time positions and a half-time position, for a total of 4.5 middle school Crossroads counselors hired out of the 11 positions that were allocated. 1.4 of those allocations are being used for extended contracts to provide half to 1 day a week per week Crossroads coverage. So what that means is we're using vacancy funds to try to give schools some kind of coverage. So even though we don't have full-time people that are able to go into the schools, our high school Crossroads team are being paid an additional 0.1 or 0.2, depending on if they're, so that means they work an extended day, as well as dedicating half a day or 1 day a week to doing Crossroads work in the middle schools. So this has come as a result of, unfortunately, not being able to fill the positions. It's very challenging. We have a counselor shortage, as y'all know, and it's even harder to find those that are interested in working in this field. So it's still posted. We routinely, I look every day, trying to get people hired. We're also running into a lot of people applying for the position that are not qualified. I wish I could hire them, but they don't meet our minimum qualifications, so we're not able to hire them. One of our biggest barriers here is that a lot of social work, those in the social work field are applying for the position, but it does require that they have a school counseling license. So we're having to look at that. That is one of the barriers that we're running into in trying to fill those positions. So that puts the total number of middle schools that are receiving Crossroads services, either in the form of a full-time Crossroads counselor being there or having this coverage, is 14. So that's still pretty amazing, because we were not in nearly 14 schools last year. So even though it's frustrating for me that we can't just hire all those counselors, I am very happy that we are in 14 schools. So then if you look down some of our specific data, so now this data that I'm telling you about that's up here is as of October 31st. The way the cutoff went to turn in the slides, we weren't able to get another month pulled. So it is just through the end of October. Excuse me. So on the Crossroads side, 175 individual students served, with a total of 203 contacts. And that would be through one-on-one work with the student, through family support, and also through classroom presentations, because remember, not all what we do is intervention, there's also prevention happening. So that would be the classroom presentations. 78 PIP sessions. So if you remember, PIP is our intervention that we do when there's a controlled substance infraction that happens on campus. And we have, in this amount of time, completed 78 of those sessions. And again, this is just middle school data. And so what that translates to is less suspension time. So we're happy about that. One of the other things I'm not so happy to report is we have had 2 post-overdose response team activations. So that is when there has been an overdose that's happened on campus. Our wraparound team has been activated twice, and that is at the middle school level. So that's always one of those I'm very happy we're there to provide the service, but I'm always reluctant to share that as a positive. We have had 5 APS staff trainings, so that is when we have presented on our program or specific elements, whether it's harm reduction or how to talk to students or working with families, to our staff. And we've actually also had 1 charter request, which I know this was very important to the council about reaching out to charters or being available to support charters. We have had 1 that have reached out to us, and we have linked with them and connected. They have requested that we come in and do a presentation. So that is in the works. We've had 10 community referrals and 5 uses of the Operation Prevention curriculum. That's through the DEA and Discovery. This is all part of our deliverables, so it's very important to us that we are trying to be as compliant in getting those things done. So part of our measurement progress or process with our data is we have surveys that we give to family members and students when they complete PIP with us. So we've had 44 surveys, and out of these surveys, it's shown that after 1 set PIP session, so this is just 1 session.
Can you say what PIP is?
I'm sorry, it stands for Parent Intervention Program. That's the one that we do when there's an infraction on campus. So after just 1 session, our surveys are showing that both the students and adults have an increased understanding of the negative effect of substances on developing brains and an increased knowledge of where to access resources and support. So again, that may not seem like much, but again, we're reaching where we weren't reaching before, and we are showing some results even in our surveys, so that's always encouraging.
Can I ask real quick to that one? Like, so 44 surveys means there was 44 infractions, as you called it?
Yeah.
And so then with each infraction, I'm assuming that means something happened, but that wasn't an overdose, then a parent's called in and they get these PIP sessions.
So PIP is offered as an option. So it's an option to a parent guardian. When there's an infraction, they're offered PIP as an alternative to either reduce or replace suspension days. Okay. So if a family member, a parent or guardian participates with their student, then the administration will reduce suspension it depends on what the original one, whether it's 3 days or reduces it. So that does mean, and that's why I said it's a direct translation into reducing kids being out of school for infractions.
Thank you.
And then for students, and Ellen had mentioned this when she was sharing some of the highlights, in the students post-survey after PIP, that infraction intervention, we're showing an overall reduction in risky behaviors that are linked to substance use, just in the few that we've been able to do so far. And we hope, of course, to double, triple these. I'd love to bring in more data, but for the middle school Crossroads counselors that we have in place, this is really encouraging. So now if we switch over, so you remember with the funding, we wanted to expand Crossroads program as well as our behavioral health counselor program, because ultimately we feel like it's the mental health, the behavioral health issues underneath substance use that we could be addressing with prevention, with mental health at an earlier age. So most of the behavioral health counselors that we have placed are at elementary schools, although we do have some at middle. So as of last week, we have 8 behavioral health counselors in place. And 1 actually just started this week for a total of 9 out of 14. That is amazing. So these are our clinicians. They're duly licensed as either an LPCC or LCSW, so that's their clinical license, as well as having a school license. So they're either school social workers or they're school counselors, and this is amazing. So we've almost doubled in size from where we were last year through these funds. So it does my heart good. We are doing fabulous work. There are 19 schools that are receiving therapeutic services through these behavioral health counselors. And if you look up there, 592 students have been served in this short amount of time by October 31st, for a total of 1,481 total contacts. So these are students that may have not have had access to mental health services, to therapy. So that is amazing, amazing. And then we also, for data, we also do surveys with our kids and adults. So it's a feelings and behaviors survey that's completed by the parent, the guardian, a teacher, whoever the referral source is, as well as the student. And it looks at feelings and behaviors. And from this, we're already showing that after working with the behavioral health counselor, the students were less sad and felt better about themselves. And that's, I didn't put the numbers in there, we have the numbers, but it's an increase in that, which is just great. So trying to, because mental health is hard to measure. So it largely goes off of self-report, how you feel in the moment. So being able to measure growth and progress can be challenging. But when we have surveys like this that we can give them at the beginning of treatment and then as they exit, it's really encouraging when we see any increase or in either a decrease in symptoms or an increase in understanding or improvement in mood. So this is really exciting stuff. So that's wonderful. I'll just say that one more time. Okay, now for the money part. So up here we've got the allocations and expenditures. So as I mentioned, we've hired the district crossroads counselor, and they're lumped in there with the 11 middle school crossroads positions. So there's our allocation, our expenditures to date, along with the remaining balance. So we've also provided professional development for our crossroads team and for the behavioral health team. We've sent them to Head to Toe and to one of the state conferences that we have. Is this your way of flickering lights at me like at a bar?
No. Oh, well, let's wait till after she's finished.
So how do I get it back? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Subtle, very subtle. So anyway, the, okay, now I got it. Okay. Yes, John. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. So you have our year one allocations, and year one is slightly more than the other years because we have some onboarding and some one-time expenses that are under the first year. But you can see we've been spending money. We've been trying to get professional development. Sometimes that's a little challenging, just being able to find available, but when we find it, we're on it as quick as our process will allow. So we've done some professional development. You can also see then the behavioral health counselors, where we are with them, professional development for them. And then we've also been trying to spend money on doing program materials and merchandising. This can be a little challenging. We are continuing to try to spend money. One of the things that I have learned from my boss, Vicki, is that sometimes it's difficult to spend money when you have internal processes that you have to follow. So we're currently in the process of purchasing the prevention programming that was in the original proposal, which is screenagers, substance-free athletics, and Vive 18. These are prevention programs, but we have to go through our process. So we have to get them approved as vendors and go through all of that. Everything's been initiated, so we're moving forward, as well as purchasing the vape detectors. We are working on that. Again, internal processes take some time, but we're started, we're going, and we're moving forward. So I'm really excited about that as well. And also for the dashboard, we're working with John as far as trying to locate who our contact person is at APS so we can get that rolling. We do know that it's part of something we want to be a part of. We have a great working relationship every month with the city and county. So we definitely want to do our part in getting our dashboard up and running. We just got to know how to link everybody. But I think that is an update on the money as well as progress that we're making.
Thank you very much, Kylie. And any questions, comments, thoughts? I did see Member Sengle's hand, and then we'll go to Commissioner Olivas. Now I don't see Sam on. Is she on there? Well, we'll go ahead to Commissioner Olivas, and we'll come back if Sam,
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Kylie, for that presentation. I guess I'm disappointed on one hand that we're not able to kind of get more counselors and more kids served, but I think that you're still doing quite a bit with what you've got, and I think maybe part of that problem is also on us to a certain extent for sort of expecting that we would be able to ramp up into so many schools, so many people that, however many counselors, you had the number there, but, say we were going to hire 30 people and these are all specialized people. These aren't just, people off the street that are, even that is difficult to just find, very basic level skills, much less to find, professionals with licensures and trainings. So I guess we probably should have thought through that, right? We're thinking of best intentions here. So I guess my question is just, and this, I don't know if this is for you or for some of the county and city leadership here, but is there an opportunity to roll some of this over into future years, so that perhaps if you are able to bring on these folks over time, the program is still able to move forward, perhaps longer or just able to better sustain itself over time, still sticking within that cap, but just kind of giving more runway to be able to hire these folks and train them and get them onboarded. Because I'm hopeful that, go through another summer, another year, hopefully you'll be able to fill all of them or a significant portion of them and keep that building.
I hope so. And thank you for pointing that out. I do appreciate that as far as the challenge that we had when we missed an opportunity. And again, we get it. It takes a while to get things rolling, but we missed that before school starting job thing because we didn't get the funds until after the school year had started. For a lot of people, that's a major decision, even in switching school or switching positions, even the qualified people. So I am optimistic. I think that if we are able to carry over some of this, that we'll be able to maybe pick up some between, before the next school year, kind of a more natural hiring process than kind of starting the way we did. So I'm answering on our end, which is I hope that our funds are able to. I don't know who would okay that, but that would be wonderful if we could do that.
And Madam Chair, if I may, one other thing. I'm really interested and kind of intrigued by this PIP thing program. I don't know a whole lot about it, but my wife, who's a former educator, was actually telling me about how successful some of these suspension intervention programs can be if we bring parents into the picture, right? Because I think parents are a really huge missing link sometimes if we're just putting all of the classroom problems on the student or the teacher, right? Those two are only together for, 6 hours, 8 hours maybe, versus, they're at home with their parent for, we hope, a lot more than that, but probably at least that amount. So I think that's really good, and that's really good that this is linked to that. And I'm glad that you're collecting surveys and you're not just counting. I like that you're breaking down number of students served and number of interactions, because we're seeing there that your number of students served is lower than your interactions, showing that there's follow-up, there's multiple sessions, multiple interactions. So it's not just kind of a one and done. Really appreciate that. And so, yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing this build out. And I think my advocacy will be to try to make sure there's a little bit of a runway there. Obviously, we want to keep seeing momentum built, but given the late start, I think this is really good and hopeful. And I know that we're working on our mobile health clinics and some of the stuff that we've done there through our behavioral health initiative. And I think this is just kind of an interesting thing that we need to keep monitoring as we look to sort of rebuild and re-implement that. There may be an opportunity here to kind of think about how we're doing things in this space, and is there opportunity to build on that. So Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Olivas. Yes, Councilor Rogers?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say thank you so much too. It's great to see so much progress, even though we did miss a timeline for hiring. That was pretty critical. I just wanted to comment, I guess, and thank you, Commissioner Olivas, for your line of questioning around the funding. I think that we hopefully covered this, and I mean, it sounds like maybe we didn't in the IGR for the funding, that we're allocating this to these programs, and so the funding should stay with these programs. It's not like the legislature where the money has to, like capital, where you have to certain time frame, you have to send it back if you don't use it, or goes back into your general fund. I would like to echo that we allocated this to these programs to do these specific things and should be kept for that. So I just wanted to name that. And then I just wanted to say thank you, as long as the dogs cooperate, for being strategic and asking to do a little more to be able to provide some of that coverage immediately for the middle schools. I think that was a really smart way to act right away when you came against a barrier. And that's the kind of like flexibility and access, like you're providing access to kids who wouldn't have access to mental health. So I just really want to commend you for thinking on your toes and coming up with a solution that still gets the care to those kids quickly, even though you hit that barrier. So I just wanted to say thank you for that as well. And can we help you recruit? You send the county and the city have marketing arms that can send things out on billboards and all of the things. So let us help recruit also folks who have a heart for this work that may not just be thinking about APS in that way. So let us help you too, if we can.
Thank you.
Yes, and Sam, sorry, I skipped you multiple times. Please, CAO Sengel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, I think I appreciate the staff and Councilor Rogers for promoting me to panelist. Somehow my connection was disconnected. That's why I couldn't answer you earlier. Just real quickly, wanted to understand from APS, the individuals that are challenging to hire into these positions based upon the credentials and the skills requirements. Can you speak a little bit to the pipeline that you're hiring from? I think we are all challenged in the same way in terms of finding professional staff that are an ample professional staff in our market related to both behavioral health, social work, and I'd love to know if you think that the primary challenge is that everyone is working and competing to recruit kind of from the same pool of individuals, and understanding what that pipeline is, where they are coming from.
Yeah, totally. I'm actually, Vicky's up here, and she does, we're running into this. We have one of the biggest things, and I'll let Vicky speak, obviously, but is we have, we have colleges that are capping classes, where they only accept 10 or 15 students a year into their counseling programs when we have a shortage in the state. And there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of reason behind that. So things like that, having our public education department consider allowing school social workers to get a license as a school counselor. Allowing more flexibility between the two licenses would be really helpful. But things like that, but I'll let Vicki speak to specific pipelines.
Thank you for the question, and members of the commission. So I'm actively working with UNM and Highland because they are the two higher ed agencies in New Mexico, or universities that offer a master's in counseling and in school counseling. I have been an adjunct professor at UNM, and part of the reason I taught the school counseling course was to beef up the interest. I'm not teaching the class this semester, but I am on their advisory council, and we are really, really trying to have build a better pipeline in the lane for counselors coming into school counseling. There's a shortage nationwide and statewide, and part of our struggle here is not every university in our state offers a master's in school counseling. I think we would get a lot more students if we can expand to the other higher education universities if we can. But we, like I said, we're working actively with UNM and with Highland to see how we can beef up their program, to see if we can help build a pipeline for counselors. And as Kylie talked about, in our state, you have to have a master's in counseling to get a school counseling license. Of course, you have to pass the exams and all of that. But a lot of states allow a master's in social work to be able to apply. So we're also working with the PED, and that would go through legislation and getting that changed. But I'm actively working on that. I went to my first out-of-state recruiting trip trying to get counselors from other states to come. But it's very hard because there's a national shortage. So to get people, to move across the country is very difficult. But just know, counselors in general, I have 30 counseling positions open and no applicants. It's not just Crossroads, it's all school counseling position. Yeah, so if we can get a billboard, like they were saying, whatever we need to do and however you feel like you can help us, I'm all ears, and I'd be happy to have a partnership with you in advertising or whatever we need to do with that. So I appreciate the question a lot.
Thank you, and I think that brings me to, I was the exact same thing. Can we bring back up that slide, the first program slide, Javier? And I guess so yeah, that's the first thing, is that when I think of that shortage, we're all fighting it right now. The county has 3/5 of our positions open or something to that number. The city, I know, is fighting for it. And all the behavioral health providers also, and across the whole state, because now SB3. So we now finally have some money, but we haven't done anything to build the pipeline. But I guess what it right away makes me think of, and I think sometimes so just as a lived experience person, and as somebody who grew up in the 90s when similar things are going on, like the programs that helped we need much lower entry points, in my opinion. I'm not a behavioral health professional, so I'm not trying to come in like I'm no more than you all. But I can speak from my own experience that I've said multiple times, I was a daughter of a heroin user and alcoholic. And in middle school, there was a leadership program I got nominated to. Nobody ever said it was because my father was an alcoholic. They told me I was a bright leader that they wanted to. And I learned later it was really an at-risk population. Or in high school, there was campesino theaters and at-risk programs that came in and did theater, art, creativity with our students. And those were the places that somebody's able to build a little trust and then tell somebody, oh yeah, my dad's using, or oh yeah, I see drugs in my house all the time. I just don't, there's not very even at the age I'm at now, I can identify the need for behavioral mental health, and I still can't say like, oh yeah, I need to go to accounts. Like it's hard to get there when you're not culturally there. Mm-hmm. So I think like the spree event or little events in schools, little ways to identify, bring leadership and entry points for our young people. That don't have to be like licensed social workers that all of us are fighting for and we don't actually have. So I guess I just hope some of that creativity, and I don't think it has to be a one or the other. I think as you're waiting for more positions to be built, I feel like that's going to be years because we're all looking for it right now. Yeah. That maybe there's some of that budget could go towards small groups or other creative ways that we do prevention in this school.
If I can add, one of the things that we have pending is part of the Vive 18 includes getting started with prevention clubs, which is the funding for the adult sponsors, but they're peer-led. Because I am in total agreement that there are other ways, we can, especially when we're looking at prevention also, right? And that is one part that's already a part of what you all have allotted us that's going to be happening. It's just getting everything rolling. But we already have sponsors that are signed up. We already have schools that are wanting to participate in the programming, which would have some of the offshoots and a different way to reach kids than just expecting them to come get help. but trying to reach them in other ways. So great minds think alike right there, but we're always trying to be creative too. We have to be creative. Instead of just sitting back and saying, oh, well, there's no one to hire, that we got to work around those barriers and do the best that we can with what we've got.
Thank you. And Javier, can you do the slide right before this one, please? I just want to make sure.
You want me to do it?
understand. Oh, she has to do it. Maybe not.
Oh, really? John, you make me feel useless.
Thank you. Sorry.
Thanks.
And I want to make sure I understand. Thank you. This is so much information. As I could follow along with you, I understood it much better. I just wanted to understand mostly because the way I keep thinking about things is what's the continuum of care, where's there gaps and fallouts. And so I wanted to hear the full story, if you don't mind sharing, what the process for APS and Crossroads is, like in those 2 overdose response teams. So there's been somebody that's been identified that's been in an overdose situation. What is APS's steps and handoff
Okay.
to who and where?
So PORT is something that I would just like to put a plug in for us that no other school district in the country, in fact, no other even college has this in place, which there was no services in place for students that had overdoses on campus. So what we do is it's a partnership with our nursing department, because often nurses are the ones that respond. And so these are the situations where it's on campus and a nurse is called to a classroom. We had one, for instance, the teacher thought the student was sleeping in their class. And then at the end of the class, the student wasn't moving and they were unresponsive, so they call the nurse. The nurse comes in, and in that case, she had to do sternal rubs and she had to resuscitate the student. And this is in front of an entire classroom of students also. So when we come in, it's largely activated by the nurse because the nurse is also in communication usually, and it is also the student is taken away and they're taken to the emergency room, usually by an ambulance comes and EMS assess them and take them. Nurses often know when the students are returning, so they're our connection. So when they get information or they follow up with a parent or a guardian about the student, they get an idea of when the students are coming back. So what we do is then the nurse typically is the one that activates the team, and the team is myself, the district nurse, behavioral health nurse. If the school is a middle school and they have a Crossroads counselor, it'll be the Crossroads counselor. If not, it's a school counselor. If they're special ed, it's a social worker. And it does not include the admin team because often it's a discipline that goes hand in hand with substances. So we let them deal with it separate, and we just do care and support for the student.
But
So
the
then when it's
school does call law enforcement, do you know what the school's process is?
well, that's the admin side, and we separate out. So it ends up usually being the administrator's call. Typically, they don't really do law enforcement. It's something, unless it's a certain kind of drug, then they include law enforcement. But usually it's just, they have a discipline. We have a handbook procedure that they follow. But again, that's admin, so it's not I can't really speak to what they have to follow completely. But for us, it's all about support and making sure that that student, when they come back to school, doesn't either, for me, it was when I thought about this, it's like, which is worse, coming back to school and nobody has noticed that you've been gone, or coming back to school and everybody's in your business and it's all drama. And we're talking middle school, so you know it's drama. It's all drama. And these kids are not getting support. And then you've got teachers saying, well, you're behind in this, and you're, what are you going to do to make up this up? And now your grade's dropping. And the kid was out for a medical event, literally a medical event. So we treat it as a medical event that needs support when they come back. So we meet with them we have it set up so that the nurse, when the student returns, they come back with their parent or guardian. The nurse intercepts the family member, takes the parent guardian with them, and they follow up on getting a release of information with the hospital, seeing are they on medication, kind of doing the medical piece with the family. The Crossroads counselor or the school counselor will take the student, and we have this kind of thing that we follow. It's a plan for each student, and we have an open discussion with them. Do you want your teachers to know anything? Can we advocate to get extensions on your homework or on this schoolwork that you missed? Where is your comfort level? Who is a trusted adult that you have at school? And we come up with a plan. We do role play. You know, what are you going to say when somebody asks you, did you almost die? You know, did you rat out anybody? What was it? And they want the details. So we do role play. The plans are very individualized, but they're there to support the student and anticipate what that coming back process is going to look like. And then we're there for them, and then we also identify a person to follow up with them. And again, there was nothing like this in place. And these students overdosed to the point that some of them literally are on life support for 3 days. You know, and these are middle schoolers. And this was this huge missed opportunity to provide services and support that now we can provide. So that's what PORT is. And then we typically have a follow-up with the student, and they know that we're there on campus.
Thank you. And I was mostly, I definitely love hearing the details about PORT exactly, but I'm also just asking about like APS's processes to get people through, but I understand you may not be.
Yeah.
For all those reasons, through Keep Enema Alive, there's a lot of moms there that have said that they wish there was a different process for when their kid first were identified or when they first overdosed or when something happened.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's opportunities to build that. Maybe it's not through, I mean, I
No,
think
it
you all
is.
are
We're
doing.
involved in that. And another one of the things that you all approved was for me to research more on some other school districts that are making non-suspension kind of a policy for controlled substance-related infractions. Because APS, we're in a very restorative place. And I think it's a natural time to include substance use in that and finding other ways, because we all know that suspension doesn't work, but we have to find something else to put in place if we remove that. So we are actively, I think, in that mode where we're looking at what the handbook has, we're looking at our response to that and trying to find a more restorative approach for the students.
Thank you. I see Counselor Rogers' hand up. Go ahead, Counselor.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you for explaining more about that, because I think I was interested in that also. I just want to make a comment, just like for all of us as all the entities, I think for recruiting across the board, whether it's mental health folks in APS or teachers, I've been reading about other school systems really investing as a community in housing that could be offered. Some school systems are working with their counties and their cities to do school system specific housing where they can offer incentives in the form of rent, lowered rent, free rent as a bonus for coming to our area and our school system from other places. And so I just want to put that out there, that in the ether as we're talking about housing, we might be think about what some other school systems are doing in collaboration with their counties and cities for housing development specifically tied to teachers. And some cities and counties are even doing it for first responders across the board, whether it's the city, the county, or local hospitals and teachers. So I just want to put that out into the ether as we continue this work together. Maybe we should think of something like that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Counselor Rogers. Yes, I had Member Benavides and then Vice Chair Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Ms. Schroeder and her team for being here tonight. Great presentation. Sounds like you guys are working really hard, and we are very proud. I have two questions, actually. The first one is, what is the most common substance found in infractions?
Weed,
Okay.
THC, by far.
Okay.
By far.
Even more than nicotine?
Sometimes it's hard for administrators to be able to tell the difference, and they have to look it up. So based on the infractions, so if it's nicotine, it's not, they don't go to us.
Okay.
They receive resources, based more on the state mandates for how you deal with nicotine infractions. But for us, so when I become aware of them, then what we track is all controlled substance infractions, which is, and by far, it's weed. Although I will say alcohol is trending again. It's almost like it's becoming popular again. So alcohol and weed.
All right. And do you mind if I ask my next question?
please,
Okay,
go ahead.
thank you. So my next question has to do with the funding remaining. So it looks like we have about 2.3 million of the first year allocation. But you did say that there were vape detectors and then programmatic expenditures on the horizon. And so do you have an estimation of that total?
Well, the vape detectors by themselves is 518,000. And the 518 program is just under 50,000. Substance-free athletics is 5,000. And what's the other one? Screenagers is five or 10,000, right? It's under 10,000.
Impressive. Thank you.
Yeah, it got a little cold in here. Yes, Member, Vice Chair Jackson.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much for being here. And I have to admit, it is a little bittersweet to see that there even are interactions in elementary and middle school. But applause to you for what you were doing to help with the prevention and intervention. And so I'm pleased to know that the funds are being allocated, and we are aware that there was some barriers, unintentional barriers in your place. And so thank you. As always, as APS does, is we pivot and we move forward, and we continue to serve the students as best as possible. The question that I have is going to be just an open-ended question, given that this is a coordinating commission. I think we've already touched on one way that this commission and the entities that we represent can help you, and one of that was possible use of, I just lost my train.
Advertising.
Thank you, advertising. I was thinking big boards. But I'm going to give you this opportunity. Is there something else that we as a coordinating commission can assist you with moving forward? Sorry, I guess I should have prepped you.
I know, because some of the things I know just aren't possible. You know, I recognize that there are reasons that checks and balances are in place. I wish that there weren't quite so many hoops or so much red tape, but I also understand why they're in place. And it's often hard because APS is so big. And we want to be transparent, we want to be accountable, but sometimes it just creates a barrier in getting things going, which means that services are delayed for students. So I wish there was a way to expedite the vendor process, our HR process, that when people do apply, our HR process can be a little daunting, a little confusing for people that are coming into us from other areas, especially in the counseling field, and the pay scale. Other school districts, all counselors have to be master's level, but they're brought in as the same as a bachelor level teacher. So there's things within that make it, even when we do get them in, the HR process and the pay scale is kind of wonky. And it can be, like I said, it can be off-putting. Delays, the structure, our inner structure on some things, we're just so big that it kind of makes us very slow-moving. And when we're in a competitive market, it doesn't help us any. So those are the things that kind of jump, but I know that that's kind of wishful thinking, because I also understand why things are in place the way that they are.
Yeah.
It just makes it hard when we have to go through our vendor process, and we have to do all that. So it's been a learning curve for me, and slowing me down a little bit, and recognizing why things are in place the way they are. But it does make it hard when we have to wait, and then we have to, now we have to resubmit a quote because it's been past a certain amount of time, and the whole process. Please don't get me started. I know that was open-ended, but you're going to regret that.
I asked for it. So, no, I think that some of the things that you're highlighting are probably APS specific. But I believe you meet monthly with the other entities, and that you guys are coordinating in that way. So I guess I would just suggest, if something comes up as you guys are meeting monthly and having these conversations, just make sure that you remember that this commission is here to, again, to coordinate and to collaborate and to make sure. And so maybe it's not a question for today, but maybe it's a question for the next time that we meet of we're meant to use this funding together and collaboratively. So I guess think on it. It's not to say that the work hasn't been fantastic and phenomenal to this point, but it's always continuous improvement. So thank you.
Thank you, Member Jackson, and thank you, Kylie Crossroads, for the presentation. I believe we have one
Madam
more.
Chair.
Yes. Oh, thank you.
Sorry, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Sorry, something that Member Jackson talked about made me think of something else. I had the pleasure of meeting with Superintendent Blakely about capital for schools in my district, and mentioned to her the LGCC. And I think it would be like this issue that you brought up. I think would be great for someone like her to work with the school board members that we have here on things like that. And I definitely think that it would be, I know we have our CAO here, we have county manager here. I think it might be good if we extended a formal invite to Superintendent Blakely to attend. She seemed open to it, but I think we could really possibly, those kinds of suggestions are not too crazy to think of, streamlining processes so that you can do what you need to do, especially with all of the internal things that exist in all of our organization. But I just wanted to offer that to the group that maybe if everybody's in agreement, we could offer that invitation to Superintendent Blakely to sit in on our meetings and participate in the same way our county manager does as well.
Thank you, Councilor Rogers. Any other final discussion points? Okay, great. We're moving on to our next presentation under new business, New Mexico Dream Center presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the Commission. My name is Birga Alden, and I serve as the Chief Communications Officer for the New Mexico Dream Center. This is going to be learning by fire hose, a really heavy, weighty topic, and so I'm hoping this can serve as a high-level overview. I always welcome questions at another time if y'all feel like you need some additional information on a particular aspect of this training, but I was asked to cover some of the basics around human trafficking in our state and in particular how it's impacting our youth. So I will just go through this quickly, and again, I welcome any feedback or if anyone would like to reach out later for additional context and content, I'm happy to provide that. So the first slide really addresses the definitions around human trafficking. The top section is sex trafficking. The bottom definition is around labor trafficking. But you'll see, I hope you can see, there's some different colors in the words force, fraud, and coercion. Those would be necessary components to be proven in a sex trafficking case, with the exception of somebody under the age of 18 being caught up in commercial sex work. Those elements do not need to be proven. They would immediately be considered a victim of sex trafficking. So those definitions would be applicable for somebody over the age of 18 for that to be proven. The bottom section is more around labor trafficking, and just because of our time restraints, I won't go into that at this time, but again, happy to field questions around that as well. This is math that we are seeing here in the local Albuquerque area around sex trafficking. This came from a client that we had worked with, and this was her quota that she was bringing in. She was earning $50 in a 20-minute sex act and was repeating that 10 times a day, 6 days a week. So the income she was generating by herself was $156,000. She was part of a small sex trafficking ring. There was 3 other women involved, all with the same quota. Together, the 4 of them were bringing in $624,000 for their trafficker. I bring this slide up because I think it's just shocking, the sheer amount of cash that's being exchanged in commercial sex. So I wanted to have this frame the conversation a little bit. This slide indicates where calls are coming in off of the National Human Trafficking Hotline, and the deeper the concentration of orange and red is going to be the higher concentration of calls. Now, obviously, the state of New Mexico, we are not a population-dense state. You've got as many people in a suburb in Texas as we have in our entire state. But despite that fact, we still are seeing a lot of hot spots. We'll always see hotspots with border crossings, but we definitely have a hotspot down in the Permian Oil Basin. We see a lot of traffic happening there when we have a predominantly male-dominated workforce. They are transitory workers in the sense of they're hired on contractual terms for weeks or months at a time. And when individuals are removed from the accountability of their home community, if they had considered buying sex, chances are they will go ahead and do it when they're not under the watchful eye of spouse or family members. And then, of course, we've got our hotspot in the greater Albuquerque metropolitan area. We've got the highest population density in our community. We have also an increase in trafficking reported around our big events. So State Fair, Balloon Fiesta, Gathering of Nations are the 3 times that we will see an increase in calls with the National Human Trafficking Hotline. So talking a little bit about who's at increased risk for trafficking, there's a lot of vulnerabilities, but you'll see on here that we've got a couple that are really specific to youth. Youth of color, those that have been involved in the child welfare system or juvenile justice, those with high ACE scores, and ACE is that adverse childhood experiences. Family involvement with trafficking. Again, I'm not going to hit every bullet point here, but just to let you know, there's a laundry list of vulnerabilities, and many of them are impacting our youth. So 3 primary ways that we see individuals come into trafficking. Nationally, this is the highest statistic, which would be the grooming or the romantic relationship approach of trafficking. This is going to be where a relationship is built, either online or it's an individual that the victim already knows. That grooming happens, they begin to woo them in. There might be lots of gifts given, offers for getting their hair done, their nails done, purses, phones, whatever the enticement might be. The relationship often begins consensual. It begins to become physical. And then at a certain point of time, the individual in power, in control, will then use something like, hey, I can't pay rent this month. I need you to step in and help out. Or something's happened, we're short on cash, now it's your turn to make some money. And the exploitation begins. But initially, it had been a consensual relationship. And this is where we see a lot of the trauma bonding happening because the trafficked individual really believes they're in love with their trafficker because it started out as their boyfriend, their girlfriend, whatever the term of endearment is, but it's begun as that mutual relationship. Unfortunately, in New Mexico, this is our highest statistic. So we have slightly over 50% of our cases in New Mexico are familial trafficking cases. And that means the minor is being sold by parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, or primary caregivers. This is one of those horrific statistics, and when you think about it too long, kind of keeps you up at night. But in these situations, you'll see that violence and abuse are very normalized. There's lots of mental manipulation and gaslighting that's happening. And the adult in the situation could be anywhere on the spectrum from being somebody who's addicted to somebody who's just an upstanding citizen. And we don't know by appearance. We don't know by income. This is all across the board, and we've heard stories on all parts of this spectrum. One of the things that we really are observant of are children who are in the school system that already have some warning signs, maybe hygiene issues, lack of food. There's something that has tipped off staff, counseling staff, administration, even peers, that there's something just not quite right, and then all of a sudden they get pulled out to be homeschooled. That is a big red flag for us around familial trafficking. It's really hard to keep tabs on kids that are pulled out of the watchful eye of the school district, and now they're at home learning, and so unfortunately we have a lot of concern for that particular situation. Third category about how folks get pulled into trafficking is through gangs. And we have a lot of different varieties of gangs in New Mexico. We've got everything from local to, international gangs here. And any criminal enterprise needs a way to make money. And when you can sell drugs or weapons one time a piece, but you can sell a person, 10 plus times a day, you can do the math and figure out what's going to be the higher potential for earning for a gang. And so trafficking as a money-making tool for gangs has become extremely popular. And this is one of the categories that's hardest to get any prosecutions around because of loyalty within the gangs. People are just simply unwilling to testify. One of our populations, one of the demographics that are really vulnerable for exploitation are our unhoused youth. And this, again, is a situation where traffickers are very aware that young people who don't have their basic needs met will do many things in order to get those needs met. And maybe it begins with a willing act in order to get access to hotel, access to food, whatever the case may be. But as soon as traffickers become aware about the nature of desperation of need from the youth, they can very easily get pulled into this trafficking situation. And so this is where we really want to concentrate, us as an agency, is on that age range between 14 and 21. Very difficult to get services if a youth are on the street or on their own. And so we want to make sure that we are stepping in as an agency and trying to help in some regard to get some of those areas taken care of so that they don't have such high level of vulnerability out on the streets. So as an agency, we do several things. I mentioned that we really want to work with that 14 to 21 demographic. The in the room folks have had a number of pamphlets and documents handed out to them. There's a flyer that shows our drop-in center. We have a location right off of Central Avenue. We want to make sure that we are easily accessible off of a main bus line. And we want to welcome kids in, no barriers. We're not going to ask them the situations that brought them into our space. We just want to serve them. We want to develop rapport. We want to begin to let them know that we are a safe space for them to rest, relax, get food, showers, laundry, whatever they may need in that moment. We also have a shelter home. That's our Eliza Jane House, and that will be for individuals that have screened in as survivors of trafficking. That's an 8-bedroom home, and individuals can stabilize there with us. That might look like breaking trauma bonds with traffickers. That might look like dealing with addiction issues, learning basic survival skills, basic living on their own skills that they will need in days ahead. And then we've got long-term support and services with our human trafficking aftercare. We've got a number of apartments that we can lease out to clients and provide them with intensive case management. And then the last component that we do as an agency is to really do street outreach. Our focus is to identify kids that are out. Every Friday night, we've got a team of volunteers that will go out on Central, typically between Eubank and Louisiana approximately. We're visually looking for someone who looks to be, under that 21 years of age range. We want to welcome them into our space. We want to make sure that they get a hot meal, know that we're around, know that we have some services available for them. And then part of my job is really connecting with vulnerable student populations. So I've had a number of opportunities to go speak with charter schools and always looking for opportunities to just have an audience with students to let them know some of the risks that they are facing online, some of the predatory behavior online, and how some of these trafficking scenarios start, but then also letting them know that if they've got needs that they aren't able to get met through their circumstance, that they're welcome to come to us for some additional support. So I'll stop there and allow for any questions. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry, Counselor Grout.
Thank you. Thank you for being here today. I love the work that you do. I'm glad that you're there for these young people. It's so disheartening to hear how huge this problem is in Albuquerque and in New Mexico and across the country. But I'm glad you're available. I personally have seen the work that you do, the services you provide, and the services that you do provide are successful. I've also seen, I know some people that are in the program that you have, and they're doing well. And so thank you for what you do. I thought this was important to share with you all today because we have APS at the table. And I know my daughter is a teacher. She was in the an APS teacher for 16 years. And you guys see so much. And so it's very interesting when you say, when they go from being in the classroom to all of a sudden they're being homeschooled and to be looking out for those things. Mm-hmm. Our teachers are so important. Yes. We have to listen to them. And so being at the table, bringing everybody together and making sure that this is a hard subject to talk about. Yeah. but it's important. And I think about the people, the young adults, the children that age out of foster care and they end up on the street. That first night, somebody comes up to them and says, hey, I'll take care of you. And then it goes downhill from there. So our youth shelter that we will be opening in February can't open soon enough. It will help serve this population, and I hope that we give them the tools to be on their own. But if all of you ever have an opportunity to visit the New Mexico Dream Center and all the different places that they serve and learn more about them, and just be aware of how prevalent it is. And like they said, they go out on the weekends, in the evenings, and these children, these young adults are everywhere, and we've got to do better and do more for them. So I am a big fan of the services that you provide, and I will always support them, and I'm glad you're here. And keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Any other comments, questions for the Dream Center?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Olivas.
just briefly, this is really my first time learning anything about this organization, and really just getting a little bit of a crash course in this problem. So really appreciative for bringing this forward and giving us all some education on what's going on. And we just absolutely thank you for the work you do at the Dream Center, and thank you to our partners at the city for the work they're doing with the youth shelter. And that's a great project that is well connected to this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I also had not heard of y'all before. I'm so great to meet you and learn more about this program. How long have y'all been functioning here?
Madam Chair and the committee members, we opened up in 2016, and so been going, gosh, close to 10 years at this point.
And how do you usually get, how do folks learn about you or get referred to you, or how do they qualify for your services?
Sure. So several different answers to that. So how they learn about us is hopefully I do my job well, and I go out in the community and I table at events and I do presentations, and I hope to spread the word. So certainly it's a tall order. We are a small agency and there's a lot of territory to cover. In terms of how people qualify to access our services, we have an application directly on our website. Individuals can self-refer. We also take referrals from other agencies. We have a really strong connection with a lot of our law enforcement, both BCSO and APD. We have Albuquerque Community Safety. Every time they run an academy, they come and train with us. So I'm really grateful for that partnership, because some of those individuals who are on the streets day in and day out as their regular place that they office, they're the ones that are going to encounter a lot of these individuals that would potentially either be caught up in commercial sex already, or they're going to be approached by traffickers. And so we want them to be aware of what they're seeing out there, what they need to be on the lookout for. So we've had a great collaboration so far with ACS, and then, APD and any of our law enforcement that are going to do any types of arrests or raids regarding trafficking knows about us as an agency, and they will often call to get us in place so that if they identify victims during the course of a raid, that they can send them for services.
Wonderful. And last, just to that point, do you collaborate with other programs doing youth servicing around any of these issues?
So, Madam Chair, thank you for the question. In terms of collaboration with other youth agencies, I would say yes, because we can't do it all. So one of the things that I'm always on the lookout for is aspects of programming that youth want access to that we don't provide. So maybe there's a group that does dance or does some sort of a musical enrichment program, and that's not something that we have capacity for in our building or with our staff. And so yes, I'm always looking for partnership with other programs. If we have any of our clients that have expressed an interest in learning a particular skill or trade, that's always going to be dependent on a lot of the relationships that we have. And so I don't know how we get anything done without great collaboration and great partnerships, because there is no one entity that can do it all. So absolutely is the answer to that question.
Great, thank you. Well, so great to learn about you all. Yes, Member Benavides, and
thank
I
you so
believe
much.
Councilor Rogers after.
Yeah, thank you for your presentation this evening. So I did a quick search on the website and I didn't immediately find it. So how can I get more information about your board of directors?
Let me, Madam Chair and committee, let me pose that to my executive director and I can have her email out a list. There was at one point the board of directors, I believe, listed on the website. We had an issue with an individual who was acting in a threatening manner, and so we have removed some of the content for safety and security. So I think that would just be as simple as a question to our executive director who could submit that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, Councilor Rogers.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. And I know you and I met in your work with the local behavioral health collaborative. And so I just want to thank you for all the things you're doing here and advocating for folks, even in different parts. I just definitely wanted to talk about trainings. Do you offer or currently do any trainings outside of ACS, but do you do any for APD?
So Chair and council members, yes, I would be happy to do that. It's just as simple as requesting it. I've not done anything specific with APD aside from, I've had a good relationship with the Southeast Area Command. We've had lots and lots of conversations with them. They have all of our materials because that is a really big hotspot, right, for commercial sex work in that part of town. So great relationship with Southeast Area Command. I've not done a ton of work with other area commands in terms of APD or specific training to them. I think the biggest open door I've had in the 2025 calendar year has really been with a lot of the UNM entities. I've really been welcomed in to do training with a lot of the women's clinics, mother-baby units, neonatal, some of those where we might have pregnant, trafficked women present or give birth, and for the staff to know what they're looking at. And so I've been welcomed readily within the UNM healthcare system, and so that's been a lovely partnership. But yes, if there's a specific training that's requested from any entity, please do reach out. Very happy to make sure that we get information that really meets the mark for whatever area of service that that entity is providing.
Thank you for that. And one more question, Madam Chair, just question around funding. Do you get currently any funding from the city or the county for this work?
So, Madam Chair and council members, we do have a number of different contracts that are specific to housing or other elements of our program. So it's a really mixed bag of how we receive funding. So we do have some federal funds. We do have some funds that come in from the city. I understand we finally signed a contract with the county yesterday, which I don't really know all the details around. But we do have a lot of different funding streams. Then, of course, private funds. So we have some fundraisers every year, and we've got some individuals that will support us on a annual or even a monthly recurring donation type of basis.
Great, thank you so much. And I know I owe you a visit and so I can get a tour and learn more too. So we'll make sure that happens in the new year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Is there any other questions, comments? Thank you very much for presenting this evening. We hope to learn more and work together more.
Madam Chair and Council, thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. That was our last item. We've had a really good conversations and learned a lot tonight. So thank you everyone for being here and everybody online. That was our last item. If there is no other announcement, the next LGCC meeting will be determined in the new year. And if there's no other business, this meeting is adjourned. Hey.